Good morning and welcome to day 4 of my extended Pemi Loop adventure. My name is Mosey and this is Rissa Romes. I slept a full hour later than I told myself I was going to, which I'm not entirely surprised by. Got into camp probably around 6:30, a little before that last night. Spoke with Brian, the caretaker, for a really long time. It's so fun talking to the caretakers because it's different than ridge running, but there's a lot of overlap, so it's fun to share stories. So talked with him, had dinner, slept really well, but I did wake up at like 3 and then couldn't go back to sleep for a bit, so it made it hard to wake up this morning. Also, anytime it's chilly, it's hard for me to wake up, so about to make breakfast and hit the trail. Today is Garfield, which will be peak number 32 for me. I was too lazy to walk to the summit last year on my AT through hike. And then Franconia, which I've done before, but it's going to be, I think, a much better day than it was last time I was there, so that's exciting. All right, rolling out of camp right at 8, which isn't terrible, given that I slept in a bit. One thing of note, my pants, the built-in belt is twisted in the waistband. I can't untwist it out here. I need to really work with it. But where my pack sits, it's just been rubbing that spot where the belt is twisted. So I have a hot spot on my back, which I've never really had happen before. So I just taped my back. We'll see if that sticks or if it helps at all. But yeah. All right, let's go. Alright, so this morning I've been following the Franconia Brook trail, which parallels, you guessed it, Franconia Brook. This is most likely my last reliable water source until camp today, assuming the spring at Liberty Springs is still running. And so I'm about to top off and fill up. Because I'm taking the Franconia Brook trail instead of the Twin Brook trail back up to Galehead, I am technically missing like 2 miles of the official Pemi Loop. But I've done those 2 miles before, and I don't really care whether or not I do them again. So maybe this isn't a real Pemi Loop. I don't know. Sunny. Yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunny. All right, so unless the weather seriously changes today, I'm gonna have blue skies on Franconia Ridge. I'm so excited. Last year I had views, so I can't complain, but it was kind of gray, clouds were rolling in and out, and it just wasn't the beautiful blue sky day on Franconia Ridge I'd always dreamed of. And so I knew I wanted to come back and do it again. I'm glad that it worked out that I was able to do this Pemi Loop while I'm working on the 48, and I get to see Franconia on a pretty day. Starting the climb up Garfield now. Oh, Garfield, you are the talk of every thru hiker and Pemi Loop hiker.
You are brutal. So, the commonly accepted route for Pemi Loop is clockwise. However, I chose to go counterclockwise. One reason for that was when I did the AT through here, I was southbound, so it was familiar. I've done it this direction before, and so it just felt like what I wanted to do. But the real reason I chose counterclockwise was because I remembered this section of Garfield, and I remember being very glad to be going up it and not down it, and so I didn't want to reverse directions. However, I will say, after having come down the Flume slide, after coming down the Owl's Head slide yesterday, this feels kind of silly. I probably would have been just fine. I stand by my decision. I'm glad I came up it. So we are almost to the peak of Garfield, which will be summit number 32 of 48 for me. When I tell people this, they look at me like I'm crazy because they're like, you already did Garfield. I'm like, no, I didn't. I did not walk the few feet from the AT to the summit. And yes, it's haunted me. People think that's probably the dumbest decision I made. And they may be right, but it was really cold that morning. I don't think I was in a good mood, and all I could focus on was getting to Franconia Ridge and then making it to town. So we are finally summiting Garfield today. There. Well, I have absolutely no idea what happened. I've cleaned it up a bit, but I looked down and my nail bed was just full of blood, so fun. The sky is mostly blue, but I do have this one gray cloud above me that I don't like the looks of. All right, I have just entered the Alpine zone, and I'm about to be up on Franconia Ridge. I have 3 vivid memories from my time on Franconia last year. Number 1 was everyone telling me that I was hiking in the wrong direction, which I was not. Number 2 was all of the rocks are so smooth and have no texture. I was sliding all over the place. And then the third, I met a guy who believed he was going to be the last northbound AT thru hiker. He'd done the math and he was sure he was going to summit on October 15th. I think about him a lot because they closed Katahdin this last year on October 13th. And I just wonder if he made it. I know the person who did summit last this year, and when I last saw her, she was ahead of him on trail. So that could have changed, but yeah, I just think about him sometimes. Well, right now I'm not exactly getting my clear blue sky Franconia day like I'd hoped. There's some over there. I guess it's just not meant to be. Right, just ran into a hiker who watched my channel last year. He recognized his channel, Tom Treks. I haven't watched him, so I didn't know, but check it out. Just saw a bunny. I didn't get a video of it because it was in the bushes, but I just was not expecting to see a bunny up here. It's pretty wild looking over there and knowing like I climbed that ridge, walked across all those mountains, and that one, that terrible one. This rock is blocking the wind. It's glorious. The sun feels so nice. Ah. I forgot how deceptive this trail is because you see the ridge line and it looks beautiful and nice and cruisy. But in order to do that, you gotta like get through all this first. Right, well, I did end up getting some sunny blue skies on Franconia, and I didn't slip on any of the rocks on the ridge this time. We'll see how I do on the descent. I will say, I feel pretty battered. The wind beat the crap out of me, and I'm sore. My feet and my quads are kind of done. But we've got less than 2 miles to camp. Should be there in probably a couple hours. So while I was on Franconia today, I received a message from someone I went to high school with. And they reached out and they were just saying like they never in a million years would have believed that I would be living this life, and they're so happy for me. And yeah, just how awesome it is to see me like living a life that brings me so much joy. And it's just really cool because when I set out to thru hike the AT last year, you know, I was a little bit lost. And I was hoping that, you know, God would speak to me, and he did while I was out here. But I was also hoping for some direction. And I wasn't sure what my life would look like post-trail. I didn't know if I would just get a job that I wasn't passionate about, but use, you know, that money just to sustain a life so that I could use my free time, you know, to volunteer or make an impact or do adventures or whatever it was. I didn't know if maybe I would decide to go back to school and get a new degree, pursue a different career. But then I realized, you know, I just want to do this. This is the happiest I've ever been. And I realized, you know, my entire life I've been trying to make a difference, make an impact, have some sort of legacy. And I decided that the best legacy I could leave is a life I loved. Ultimately, I think it's the most important thing that we just take full advantage of this life that we're given and enjoy it to the fullest. And that's what I've decided to do.